Capacity expansion will continue through maximizing output of each factory and building new factories in new locations in the future. Although we're not ready to announce any new locations on this call, but we will, through 2022, look at new locations and probably be able to announce new locations towards the end of this year, I expect.
Hey, Ivan from the EV Stock Channel here. Tesla is due to announce the location of the next Gigafactory later this year. But what country is it most likely to be built in? And how many of these Gigafactories could be built in the next few years? Well, let's have a look. But before we begin, thank you to all the Patreons that make these episodes possible. And as always, all content is my opinion only and not financial advice. So where is Tesla likely to build the next Gigafactories? Well, to get a clue, let's have a look at the countries that have the largest auto markets. And when we look at the data, the answer seems pretty clear and matches where the current 4 auto factories are. Based on this chart, it would be pretty easy to make a case for China to be the site of the next Gigafactory. And if the reports are accurate, on May the 4th, Tesla confirmed that it intends to build a second plant in Shanghai. This is to be located near the existing GigaShanghai factory. The planned annual production capacity is to be around 450,000 vehicles. However, this would be stage 1 and would definitely be increased over time. The next obvious place for a factory would be the European Union. However, I don't expect Tesla to make any announcements regarding another European factory this year due to the current ramp of Giga Berlin. Now, let's move on to the remaining countries, starting with Japan, where interest in going towards EVs is pretty low, and I wouldn't be surprised if Japan's government would want to protect their local auto manufacturers, of which there are many, in the likes of Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Mazda, Subaru and Mitsubishi, just to name a few. So based on these points, I don't see Tesla building a Gigafactory in Japan anytime soon. Then there's India, and there's been a lot of talk about Tesla building a factory in India. However, Tesla is still not able to sell or service cars there, and the politics just seems like nothing can get done, which I believe would completely put Tesla off from building a factory in India. And that's a shame for the Indian people, as they're breathing some of the world's most polluted air, as you can see here.
Of the 30 most polluted urban areas on the planet, 22 of them are in India, the world's second most populated country. In fact, the nation's capital, New Delhi, is ranked as the world's most polluted city.
The air in the Indian capital is toxic. The air pollution so bad that authorities have declared a public health emergency, canceling school, diverting flights, and urging residents to stay indoors.
So as you can see, if there was one country that needed Tesla more than others, India is the place that should be doing all that they can to bring Tesla in. And just remember, if you're a wealthy Indian politician or a beggar on the street, you're all breathing the same air. When it comes to Brazil, I've heard that they would love to get Tesla to build a factory there, and Brazil does have some auto manufacturing skills with the likes of BMW and GM having factories there. But other than Elon's visit relating to Starlink, I don't see Tesla building a factory in Brazil anytime soon, even though there is some interest from Brazil. Next, South Korea. And compared to Japan, they seem much more enthusiastic towards the Tesla brand and are home to a number of major battery companies like LG Chem, SK Innovation and Samsung, which would be very appealing. South Korea also have their own domestic auto manufacturers like Hyundai and Kia, and do seem more open towards electrifying compared to their Japanese counterparts. However, the thing that really reduces the chances of Tesla building a Gigafactory in South Korea is that it's really close to Shanghai, where Tesla will most likely build a second Gigafactory. So from a battery perspective, it makes sense, but not from a location perspective, so I don't see Tesla building a factory in South Korea, at least for the next few years. Then there's Russia, and it's pretty obvious that no Tesla factory will be built in Russia anytime soon. Next up, the UK, which seems to be linked to a Tesla Gigafactory following a major lithium discovery in the UK. However, keep in mind, Tesla can build a factory in 1 to 2 years, while it takes many more years to get permitting, to mine and then refine the lithium. So while there's potential in the future, I don't see Tesla building a gigafactory in the UK anytime soon, although the UK has been one of the countries that has had strong Tesla sales in Europe and are moving towards EVs at a faster pace than most other European countries. Next, Canada. And the question is, why would Tesla build a plant in Canada as opposed to another plant in the United States? Well, Canada is rich in battery raw materials like nickel, lithium and graphite, not to mention that in certain states like Quebec, hydropower is the main source of power, which would give Tesla a clean source of energy. Although I don't see Tesla building a Canadian gigafactory anytime soon due to the current ramp of Gigatexas, in a few years when Tesla does need to consider the next North American factory, I can see Canada being in play, so that will be one to watch in the years ahead. But on a side note, and something that I haven't heard discussed much within the Tesla community, Tesla already has a factory in Markham, Ontario that manufactures equipment for battery manufacturing, such as what we saw during Battery Day. Next, Mexico, and in short, I don't see Tesla building a plant there anytime soon. However, when we get to Australia and Indonesia, this is where things really start to get interesting. There have been reports in May that Tesla is inching towards signing an agreement to build an electric vehicle and battery factory in Indonesia. It is understood the factory could be built in an industrial complex in central Java, and work to start construction could take place by the end of, get this, 2022. So, if this report is accurate, could this be what Elon was referring to when he mentioned an announcement will hopefully be made by the end of 2022 for the next factory? The timelines do add up. So why would Tesla be looking at Indonesia, considering their annual new car market is less than 1 million units per year? The answer, Indonesia is rich in nickel. Not only that, Indonesia wants to develop an integrated EV supply chain and become an EV battery producer and exporter. Indonesia also has the ambitious goal to make batteries with a capacity of 140 gigawatt hours in 2030, which is nearly as much as the global EV battery production in 2020. In order for this to happen, Tesla would have to help Indonesia clean up their nickel production, which is something I could see Tesla throwing some of their best engineers into. This would also mean that Indonesia would be supplying neighbouring countries like Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand and the Philippines, along with their own domestic market. So an Indonesian Tesla factory announcement is very possible and something to keep an eye on in 2022 and 2023. For more info on this topic, check out Jordan's video titled Tesla Battery Materials Strategies Maintaining a 50% Growth Rate. Link will be in the description below. And stay tuned for a video that I'm currently working on relating to the battery raw material market and nickel in particular. The final country to consider is Australia, which is in a similar situation to Indonesia, battery material resource rich. Australia is not only rich in nickel, but also one of the largest players in lithium, in which both Elon and Drew have been very vocal about recently. And now Australia is no longer a country that just mines lithium, but there's also been some developments in regards to refining, with a Chinese company by the name of Tianqi producing Australia's first battery-grade lithium hydroxide at its plant in Kwinana in Western Australia. One other thing that Australia has going for it is a change of government from the anti-Tesla Liberal Party that was very pro-coal.
Mr. Speaker, this is coal. Don't be afraid.
The
Don't be scared.
The Treasurer knows the rule on crops.
It's coal. It was dug up.
This is the same group that mocked Tesla's Hornsdale battery, that was the largest battery in the world at the time. And no, it paid itself off in just a few short years and saved South Australia from countless blackouts.
By all means, have the world's biggest battery, have the world's biggest banana, have the world's biggest prawn, like we have on the roadside along the highways around the country. But that's not solving the problem.
The naysayers said it was a waste of money, but this big battery is already playing a key role in stabilising the grid. And it's doing so with a speed, precision and agility that's never been seen before.
The new Labor government will have an opportunity to lure Tesla to Australia. However, the window might not be open for long if Tesla is also considering making a deal with Indonesia in late 2022. State Labour governments have made deals with Tesla in the past, first to build the, as mentioned before, HORNSDALE battery, and then an even bigger battery in Geelong, Victoria.
The biggest battery in the Southern Hemisphere has been switched on southwest of Melbourne. Victorians are being promised it will lead to cheaper power bills and eliminate unplanned blackouts this summer.
Once a rural field near Geelong, now home to the biggest battery in the Southern Hemisphere, officially supplying power to the grid.
Australia also has a number of workers with auto manufacturing experience due to the number of auto manufacturers that closed down in Australia over the last decade. But at the end of the day, the market is only big enough for one factory in either Indonesia or Australia to supply Southeast Asia in the coming few years, and maybe due to the size of the market, Tesla will only be looking at constructing a battery factory. However, this is something that both countries should be competing for. So it'll be interesting to see if Tesla does indeed announce a new location for a new factory later this year. The favourites are China and Indonesia currently, but with Tesla, anything is possible. So until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys soon.